yin yang top. I'm wearing white
Okay,
pants because
it's
it's the
on.
last
We're
day to do
live.
it. The
We're
last
live.
day.
We're
Okay.
live.
Well,
Oh,
Labor
okay.
Day,
I did.
guys.
Hello, and welcome to that BS show. I'm Kimberly, and this is my beautiful co-host Sarah Jane, and we keep it real around here.
You do.
Absolutely real. And tonight, we were just actually talking about kind of going over pre-show, and I think where we're going to start tonight, I know where we're going to start tonight is talking about the uh well, now she's not the running mate anymore. I mean, well, no, she is because Kennedy's not off the ballot. So
Some
his
states.
running mate, yeah, his running mate, Nicole Shanahan. I think that's where we'll start off talking about some start. God damn it, Kim. Words, use them.
It's okay. Everybody knows what we mean, anyways. We're
Yeah, Mercury's just gone direct. I'll blame
if
it on
y'all
that.
can't read between the lines, we're gonna help you anyways. So,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on with this hair? Jesus.
So I I spent a lot of time this week watching interviews with her, and then I ran across an interview with her with Ron Paul, and of course, then I was absolutely hooked. Um, she's got a fascinating story. I use that word too much. She's got a really great story. She
Good
started
origin
off.
story.
What's that?
I said a good origin
There,
story.
thank you. That's what I was looking for. Um, Came from no money, and I mean very much of it. I think both of her parents came over here, and it was just a very uh yeah, poverty.
like
And
like a
then
true like a true rags to riches, a true
yeah,
one.
yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't just a little, it was struggle. And then she married, I'm not sure which executive she married at Google, but and there's a little bit of, I saw some people that were in a live interview that she was doing, and I don't know, people have to just talk about stuff that's none of their fucking business, really. So I ignored all that. I'm not even gonna bring it up here. It's not even worth
Or
it. But
probably like try to naysay some way or drag her into something that her husband did or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, and so what I really found interesting was that she talked about the mental gymnastics of the ethics that are involved when you come into that kind of money, and how just learning, I mean, for your brain to expand around that, and that what comes with that. And I was just so impressed with her grace and her strength. Um, the interview that I'll send you was with Ron Paul, and I just was like, I thought of, I wanted to pipe her into the ear of every woman that is only voting because of a woman. You know what I mean? Or anybody that, like, if it's that important to you to have a woman, this is who you should be looking at, because you want her in this administration. Um,
Oh, like
she just,
the single issue voters, the single
yeah,
issue, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And she, it's a very, very in-depth interview, but what I really loved about it was she basically said, I, it's like, where do I go from here? Because she basically said she knows she's got money and power, but how do I really, the Federal Reserve, how do I really go after these subjects? How do we really go about this? And Ron Paul sent her to some Mises material, and I'm sure I'm hope they're having many meetings off mic. Um,
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
yeah,
sure he probably sent her a book list or like podcast, or he probably sent her like Milton Friedman clips, or even
yeah,
just like, personal responsibilities, stuff
yeah,
like that. Like, one thing I did admire about Ron Paul too is I don't remember where he mentioned it, but I did hear something where, he was a doctor, he was a gynecologist, and more than that, an OBGYN. He delivered babies, and he talked about how he worked in like a poor community with like, you know, women who didn't have medical insurance. And in passing, he made a comment like, he's like, I can't even tell you how many babies I delivered basically for free. You know, he's like, because it's my responsibility as a doctor to treat these women regardless if they have money or not, you know. And like, even his son Rand, who is not as enthusiastic or charismatic, or even, he just doesn't have the same fire, I think, that his dad has. But even Rand will go do surgeries for eye surgeries for
Yeah, he does a
underprivileged
lot of that.
people.
Yeah.
A lot of that
And,
he donates it because that's their personal responsibility. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's in
Yeah.
what's in their ability to help, but that doesn't mean that he believes in like just giving everything to everybody all the time, you know. But as what he could do, he did what he could do responsibly and with a good heart, a kind heart, to help women, help babies come into the world, you know. And he
Yeah.
felt strongly about it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, the
that's
good doctor.
that's personal responsibility at its finest, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's where it's at. And Rand, he's more
Well, it even
politician.
also sounds like she's kind of brave and honest for being able to be
Yes.
forward about having money, because a lot of people nowadays, especially leftists, look down on you. You're evil if you have money and you're successful and you need to give half of that to charity. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure she is a philanthropist. I'm sure she does do tons of charity work. But the thing is, it's almost like never enough. You know what I mean? For the left, like, they're
Yeah.
so entitled to everyone's earnings and belongings and wealth. And it's like, I get it. At some point, so much money is just so stupid. Like, when you have so much money, you don't even know what to do with it. Your kids and your grandkids will be taken care of, and possibly even their kids if they do well with it. It's like, I get it. At some point, like, it's you, if you're one of these billionaires or multi-hundred millionaire, you know what I mean, and you're not doing charity. But like, those are the ones, those are the weird leftist millionaires who are
Hmm.
always saying everybody else needs to pay taxes, everybody else needs to give
Hmm.
more. Well, they have
Hmm.
3 homes, 3 mansions, a private jet, a fucking chauffeur, a maid, a cook. But
And
what
everything else. Yeah.
that blue collar worker making 150 to 200,000, he needs to be taxed 40 to 50% of his
Yeah.
wages. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's insane to me. That's fucking insane. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
She just asked, it just checked all the boxes for me of like, you just feel truth and authenticity. And that's the currency that is priceless, and that is the new currency, I believe, in the new whatever is building right now.
that
It's
we're the
gaining momentum.
competing, the parallel realities.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. It really is. And um, I was it Kennedy or what? No, it was her. Because she's not a Trump fan. I don't know. That's that's okay. I understand. Um, and she said that within 5 hours after Trump getting shot, that he called Kennedy, and she she said that she felt like there was a change of heart, that that he called Kennedy, and that there's something that had shifted, that he wants his legacy. Like, how does he, I think more than ever, it seemed that through the phone call and through the conversations, that there's been some sort of a shift, and that he really didn't know the first time around appointing people, and he hadn't been there, and now that he knows, um and who knows? I mean, there's so many moving parts to something like this, but I did find that, and I think that when you watch her too, you'll feel like she is truly an authentic, truthful person, and that I really felt her come through in that interview. And I just don't think, or I'd like to think, that Ron Paul wouldn't even have taken the interview. If there wasn't something that's going on for those of us that are in like that truth vein, the true real like truth vein, that when you see, it's kind of like when Ron Paul got up on the big tent, he's a libertarian or at heart, but he's still in the big tent, so it's your guy. So even if it's Trump that wins, at least the administration is seemingly getting filled with people that that I'd root for. I get the libertarian philosophy in there as much as possible, and really talk about war, and that's another. Okay, I had another thought. I'm not gonna.
I heard today, I can't remember, I was watching a reel and I heard that fuck, what was I gonna say? Sorry, I'm having a brain malfunction.
Me
Something
too.
about so Kennedy said that he was going to drop out of certain races, especially in those battleground states, and so that people would vote for Trump, so he wouldn't take votes away,
Hmm.
basically. And
Hmm.
he had to sue some of those states to get on the ballot. First of
Now
all, he
they
had to
now they
fucking
won't let
sue
him
them.
off.
Now they won't let him off
Yeah, yeah.
because they want to siphon the votes. It's that is like that. See, those are the kind of games that Democrats and more importantly, everybody fucking knows that the establishment is the Democrats right now. The Uniparty is the Democrats, and you know that because you have people like the Bush family, Mitt Romney, all these
Mhm.
fucking neocons siding with the Dems, and that's how
Mhm.
you know that it is Uniparty, and they represent the fucking establishment, the interests of the World Economic Forum, the globalism, and more importantly, the fucking corporatocracy, the corporation, which is more aligned with fascism. All these people, fascism, fascism. Yeah, well, your fucking side is the establishment, which is the corporate government, which corporations and government coming together, which Mussolini famously quoted would be more in line with corporatism, is the establishment. And
Mhm.
it's known. You can't even fucking deny it. And people
No.
that do, it's like they are the Borg. I'm sorry. You
Yeah,
think that you
yeah,
are the freedom fighters, and
yeah,
you're not. Like, you're a
yeah.
part of the Borg, you're a part of the system, and because you have an empty vessel of a puppet candidate who she can't do interviews alone.
Did you watch the interview
Oh
on
God,
CNN?
not the full. I
I
can't.
couldn't. I cannot do it. Because of this show, and
I
I've been diving
tried.
into stuff that normally I've been on the peripheral for quite some time, and now doing this, of course, it's just opened up, and it's satisfying in a way. I actually do enjoy um, part of it, but um, I forgot what I was going to say.
I mean, just how
God damn,
edited it is.
Mercury.
The fact that it was 18 minutes long, and you have Trump
Oh yeah,
doing
that. Okay,
open
yeah.
form interviews for hours sometimes, almost 2 hours sometimes. You know what I mean? And this lady can't even get, first of all, it is chopped and edited to hell. Okay. Like, this thing is cut up. You know that they did different takes. Like, she's been practicing these answers. The fact that she cannot speak off the cuff is terrifying. That is
Mhm.
terrifying. How is she going to speak to Putin or President Xi Jinping of
She's
China?
not.
How? She's not.
She's not. And her little bitch sidekick is just disgusting. He
Well,
is.
he's her handler. That is her handler.
Oh, because he does most of the speaker. He can speak off the cuff, and his answer to the school shooting, or his stolen valor, or whatever is going down there, is just, Sarah. I honestly can't believe that if people watch that and they still vote left, if they still do, I don't know that I have the right words to articulate it. I know I said on the last show that I would be that I'd have some judgment there, and a strong opinion for sure.
It's more
But
about respect for me. I just, it's not that I won't be friends with you or love you or even like, it's just like, it
yeah,
makes me feel like you have no integrity a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it makes
or
me
that
question your
or that
integrity.
you're
Like,
so apathetic. If you're that apathetic, don't vote.
don't vote. Yeah, exactly. If you hate both of them so much, but you're just voting blue no matter who, to
Don't
stick
do
it to
it.
the right, just because you hate the other person,
Mhm.
like, I'm not. going to vote this time around because I hate Kamala. That is, or I hate the Democrats. No, I'm voting because I genuinely am fucking terrified of an empty vessel puppet who is going to bring in World War III. Literally. Like I hope it's not true. I said it last time. I hope I'm wrong. I know in my fucking gut that this weak, puny, cackling, fucking ignoramus who can't answer a single policy question, who can't speak off the cuff, who can't talk about real issues without laughing or giggling or belittling the audience or demeaning people or speaking in a fucking nursery rhyme so that she doesn't actually have to answer any questions. She just literally like starts talking and goes on some tangent, and they're like, she's hoping that the interviewer will forget what they even asked her. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that when somebody asked her what she did as a vice president, like to define her job and like explain what she does in a day and blah, blah, blah. She goes into some crazy ass story about who knows what. And then the interviewer was not having it. They were like, okay, but like, you didn't answer the question. What, can you not describe what you do for your job? And she's just like, like,
I seriously, and then the commentators, the news, I keep thinking of the show They Live or the movie They Live, right? And it's just like, where they get the glass. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the newscasters, it's just, by the way, if you're watching this and you haven't seen They Live, it is a cult classic and I highly recommend it. You used to be able to watch it free on YouTube. Now you must pay for it.
I said, and I'm all out of bubble gum, baby.
And I'm all out of bubble gum. But she, because I think nobody could buy this. Nobody could, like, people won't still vote for this. And then I'm like, oh, come on, Kim.
They will.
You know the truth about this. And it's hard for me to wrap my brain around.
It's still just the emotional voters. It's the people who are voting on emotions and fear. And I'm like, it's so crazy because.
Or for the goodies. And so, because
empty
daddy government is now going to come in and save everybody. And it's going to be beautiful because it's kumbaya land. It's joy.
Magic.
It's joy.
The land of make-believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've been waiting for some of my Facebook friends that are over on the left side to I'm not going to respond. I don't jump on anything and
I've gotten a few secret Trump voters that are like, you're the only person I'm telling because I'm very honest with my opinion. So they already know how I feel. And for the most part, like most people know that, like people that know me know that they can trust me. If you ask me not to say something, like I won't. I'm genuinely one of those people that can take a secret to the grave, and to the point where like I know the people that can't. And like, if I'm telling like my best friend B, like a secret, I'll tell him like, don't tell this person specifically, like, please, like talk to it with our other best friend, talk to it with your boyfriend, but like, please do not tell this person because I know that it's going to get out. I know that loose lips, you know what I mean? And like, and he said to me multiple times, like, he's like, you like never told anybody? And I'm like, no, like I promise I haven't. And he's just like, wow. He's like, I'm like, thank you. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, if you tell me not to say something to somebody, I'm not going to do it, you know? And so it's like, if somebody comes to me in trust and they're scared to let other people know who they're voting for or how they're feeling politically, which to me is fucking a sad state of affairs anyways, when you have
I was just going to say that's that right there.
That almost means that they have won. Like when the fear, when the other side, when people are so scared to come out with their opinions, or like if they align with something a little bit more, in fear of being canceled, labeled, fired from your job, like excommunicated from your friend group, like that is sad, man.
But I also
think how do you do it? And I'm like, I'm still hanging out with y'all. Has anybody excommunicated me? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, yeah, because people are more than their political opinions. You know what I mean? Like, and people who only look at you as that, then like, fuck you. I'm multifaceted. I'm so much more than what I think about politics, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But I also think that it's almost like a double down because a lot of these people, I think, owe people in their lives, people apologies. They're, and
Mm.
I'm thinking of a few on my Facebook feed that I'm not necessarily friends with, but they certainly had an opinion hopping on my page when I talked about ivermectin and basically said that if I didn't, first off, I got shit for that. And I was like, first, fuck off, do your research on ivermectin, and then look at Benadryl. You can give that to dogs. Like, so simmer the fuck down, idiots.
Baby aspirin, Benadryl,
All of it.
certain, yeah. Oh, but Kay, all these people will fucking snort ketamine, but
Well, and
that's
then
like
they,
that's a
yeah,
horse tranquilizer.
yeah. And
Okay,
then
like,
but they had
but once
a,
again, it's not. It was a human fucking medication. It was a battlefield medicine they made because opiates suppress the respiratory system. That's what ketamine was originally for. Yes, cats, horses, dogs, humans, we're all fucking mammals. We can all take specific drugs and others no. You know what I mean? But like I
yeah.
give my dog, my mom's dog, I give him baby laxative because he has a hard time pooping. It is a human laxative. You know what I mean?
Well,
But my dog can
even
take it. Like,
there was a fake news thing that a bunch of people had taken the whole tube in Oklahoma and they died. So of course people, we're at the height of COVID fear. And I said, well, no, you just
the
measure
whole
it out like
tube.
a pea, and it's like cancer. I mean, it's cancer care. Ivermectin's like fucking insane good. And so it's those kind of people that had this voice where they were hopping on people's pages that otherwise these people would never hop on my page.
No.
But when I made the ivermectin and the horse stuff, they just came out of the woodwork, and it's like I swear it's that type of person that is not like the cognitive dissonance, willful ignorance. They won't even, because they won't admit that they were
We're
wrong.
wrong.
They won't admit that they made a mistake putting this in their body. Can you imagine the mental gymnastics that people that took it are having to do now with, and first off, just the influx of information that now you have to say that's not true. It's like, yeah, it is.
First of all,
It
just
is
the fact
true.
that the majority of these people, the my body, my choice people, which I am too, definitely, but I
Yeah,
would like to expand on that. I don't think it ends with abortion or reproduction. I think my body, my
exactly.
choice means me deciding what medications I put in my fucking body, what procedures I get done on my body,
Hmm.
or lack thereof. You know what I mean? Like it's expanded, but if your my body my choice ends on reproduction, then I'm just going to say
Hmm.
it, like, you're fucking stupid and you don't understand what bodily autonomy means if you
Hmm.
think it only applies to reproduction. Like, I'm
Hmm.
sorry, you're wrong.
Hmm.
And it's antithetical. It makes no sense. It's an oxy fucking moron. Like, so you think people should be forced to take vaccines against their will, but then the thing with abortion is people should be allowed to get them at any term in the pregnancy because it is
It's
their
for the
will. Like, just
greater
make it
good,
make
Sarah.
sense.
It's
Yeah,
for the greater
that's a
good.
Nazi talking point. That's what
Yes, it
they said
is.
too. That is
Yes, it
literally
is.
textbook Nazi.
Yes,
So
it is.
I love contending with these people, and most people won't. They won't say a fucking thing to me because they're
Hmm.
scared. They know
Hmm.
that they will go in circles, and I will bring up a lot of points that they don't have answers to. You know, so
Yeah, and then they'll still vote. Say,
yeah,
you can
they
put it
will.
in better.
But these are the people that are programmed. Literally, that's what I look at it
Yeah,
as. Like, they are
yeah.
programmed by the TV. I don't know if it's the MK Ultra thing. Like, they were just brainwashed. They really believe that there is like some authority above themselves that like
Hmm.
knows more than them, and they have to
Hmm.
outsource their
Hmm.
authority and their information. They can't run that through their own being. They have to outsource it. They can't digest it themselves. It has to be
Well, and the
pre-digested and
system,
then vomited into their mouth, and then they'll fucking take it, you know?
the
Like,
system of force and fraud works for them.
yeah, for
I mean,
but some of them it
seemingly.
doesn't. That's the thing. Some of it doesn't even work for them, but they still, that's when it comes into it that they can't admit they were wrong. They can't admit that
Hmm.
they did harm or they were harmed,
Hmm.
or you know what I mean? Like, it's a
And
complete
I
denial.
think that those of us, this is one of the just beautiful principles of being so into the Ron Paul philosophy or ways that, like, once you understand and like really sit with the principle of no initiation of force or fraud, but you can protect yourself, and you realize that our entire system global is based on force and fraud, and you cannot control if it's not working in the family unit and out and keep going out and keep going out. It doesn't work. Force and fraud does not work. You cannot control a population, or even it. Well, it works with the mind control aspect of it, but it doesn't work in the sense that you're seeing everything implode under the weight of its own lie. People have had it. Like the amount of taxes, the amount of pressure, the divide and conquer, the pressure, the pressure, the pressure. This is fraud. This is force and fraud that's being put upon humanity, and you're seeing, well, I mean, the mental illness, the epidemic of mental illness, and we haven't even begun to see it. And I know that on one of the shows that when I had said that the banking thing, like this was a big one that we just had, and I think I had said something in regards to when these big events happen, the tsunami comes later. And yes, it does hit the people that are just trying to fucking survive. And that's what makes it so sick, is that the targeting of innocence through force and fraud, and that they recognize that the entire system is. And I think that when I was watching that interview with Nicole Shanahan, you could see dots connecting, that for those of us that love the good doctor, that's what he does. That's what he does.
He helps piece the puzzles. He helps bridge the gap, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I could just see I think peace, comfort came in her eyes, because I really did get the sense that in a private moment, could probably tell you how absolutely terrifying what she's doing is, and that she's
I'm
seeing things,
sure.
and that she's the amount of attacks through lawyers, and then to realize that this goes beyond human. This is a spiritual. This is truly up against a force that um, does not want humans to be the successful ones in this. It's the transhumanists, and it's because everything that seems to be on the docket on the
It's a
left
spiritual war. It's a spiritual
is
war.
transhumanism. It's anti-human. So there's the human route, like humanity, and then not the transhumanism. And and I wanted to correct something from last show that I said. It was JD Vance that's Thiel's guy, not. I think I kind of got that. Anyway, that's kind of a tangent from last.
Oh, okay. JD Vance
So,
was
so
Thiel. Oh,
Thiel
yeah.
Thiel is the JD Vance side of things, just for correction from that. But I really got the sense that I felt for her, like. And I want to say, if anybody watches this and you're a woman, and it's really important that, that's the kind of woman to listen to. Go watch her interviews. Go listen to her. She and I know that there are a lot of women out there that are this incredible. She just happens to be in a very interesting position in time in history. And
I just wanted to read this quote from the Bible really quick, only because I
yeah,
think it's relevant. And
yeah,
it's because it's talking about like the spiritual war and like certain things in the Bible, like of course I think one, it's taken out of context to control people, but there are a lot of spiritual truths in
sure,
any religious book, right?
sure,
So it's
absolutely.
called the armor of God. It said, put on the full armor of God so that you can make the stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this world's darkness, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
that, I mean, they've it's been this way for a very long time,
yeah,
and I feel
yeah.
like it is always been this struggle. It is the great
Sure.
struggle,
Mhm.
and now it's just evil personified because we have all the technology, all the weapons of war, of weapons of mass destruction. You know what I mean? It's like the WMDs, you know, and it's like now, and these people that are in power, that it's more capable to kill so many people than at any point in history, you know, and it's also so easy to control us through news and information and, dare I say, misinformation, you know, like they are the misinformers. They're the ones that control and censor and put out the fucking talking points, and they're the ones that are doing the brainwashing on a massive scale. So, you know, a lot of these people that are voting, I do, it's hard for me to have respect because I feel like there's a genuine lack of integrity, but a part of me also feels bad for them because I feel like they are victims of the machine, of the system, to the point where like they can't see the wizard behind the curtain. You know what I mean? They're still stuck in Oz, and they still are, they're still falling for the facade, for the movie. They don't know that there's a curtain, you know what I mean, that they can look behind. And so the part of me that is trying to be empathetic and compassionate, although there is a lack of respect, kind of, there's also like this empathy underlying it, because I know that a lot of these people aren't bad. They don't want to do bad. They want to do good, you know, but they can't fucking see. And while that is frustrating, I still just feel sorry for them because they are victims of the machine, literally, you know, and it's going to chew them up and spit them out. And they still think the system cares about them. They think the government cares about them. They think Kamala cares about them. And it's just like, it's so
There's
sad.
going to be
like,
so much joy.
And it's like, I get it. I wouldn't want to wake up either. You know, I wish, man, sometimes I really wish I was that naive and I just believed. I wish I could just, don't stop believing. Like, hold on to that feeling. No, I can't. Like, I stopped believing a long ass time ago. And maybe that's why I come across a little black pilled, but I do still have hope. That's why I'm even doing this. If I didn't have hope, I wouldn't even try, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and here we are, we're less than 70 days now. We're like, 65 days?
We need to have some sort of clock. I'm sure there is a clock somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Countdown.
And I mean, yeah, it's gonna get more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, as clown world heats up.
Yeah. So in saying that, though, that's why, I mean, I know that that talking about that they're programmed and that there's some understanding and some empathy, that, you know, we wake up at different times, and propaganda's, it's some good propaganda.
It is.
But I don't know. You say respect, and I just don't understand. I really don't. And not for, and you know what? Maybe I do understand, but maybe it's the celebrity shit out there and the people that don't look beyond that. It's like, maybe I think that you should have skin in the game to vote. That maybe it's not something you just get to do anymore. And that's just that sounds kind of fucked up, but
well, it
I don't know,
doesn't,
maybe
especially
take a test.
when the Dems are playing games and they want illegals to vote, and then they're going to promise the illegal
You
they're
see
going
in
to promise them
California, they're giving them
the
150 fucking
houses.
$1,000 to buy a home.
I saw it. I seen it.
Fucking,
You know what I mean? So it's like they're promising all these promises to get votes, and it's like, but that is a game. That is a scheme. Once they bankrupt the system, none of this is going to matter. Like, none of it is going to matter at all. And
none of
it's
it.
just like that's the thing, that these people have this utilitarian, utopian. They think they can make good for all, but what they don't understand is, in every society that has tried to do that, you have to use force and fraud. You have to use authoritarianism, and any system that will adopt authoritarian measures means that they are very willing to create human misery on a massive scale. And
Yes.
that's why democracy, to me, I've never even really fully agreed with democracy, because it's just ruled tyranny of the majority, and they know it too. That's why it's so important for them to win, because they feel like they're going to be tyrannized by the majority if it were Trump voters. So they get it, that democracy is ruled by tyranny of the majority. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've never even understood, oh, we're going to save democracy. For who? For yourselves, because you want to fucking do tyranny on the side that doesn't agree with you. You know what I mean? And also, you're going to save democracy by installing a candidate that not one fucking person voted for. Like, how is that democracy? Somebody who was not democratically elected.
Yeah, that's
But democracy is these people end all be all, what they worship, they think is going to save them. But yet you're going to vote for a candidate who didn't even go through your favorite process, your quote unquote democratic process, which you fucking worship. Didn't even have to do that, but somehow that person is going to save the process that you claim to worship. Like, I just, none of it, I can't, like, I get it. Like, I cannot.
Well, it's different for them, right? Rules for thee, not for me. So it's like,
rules for thee, none for
and
me.
have you seen the latest, I don't know, like I saw maybe there might have been 8 or 9 headlines of the Constitution is dead. The Constitution is something, but it could also be dangerous. Anyway, they're just
Walz said that, right? Tim Walz.
Yeah, they're going.
Mm-hmm. And he also said that the First Amendment doesn't protect all speech. It doesn't protect misinformation, like misinformation on the internet. So what is misinformation, though? If the state can decide what is true, that means that, like, even other authorities, doctors that have degrees in the same field, if they vary even a little bit, they can be censored because for misinformation. But it's like, who gets to dictate? Who is the end all be all? Who says that this is the information? Like, that's the thing. It's like the state functions. Dr. Fauci, who works for the government, he is the fucking top authority, and anybody who differs from him is lying or misinformed or ignorant. Like how do people believe in this? But then they also hate religion. But then, Galileo, who said the world was round. So the Catholic Church was the top. They were the ones who got to say what was true and end all be all of truth and information. And if you said the world was round, fucking straight to the stake or hanging or whatever they did, however they killed people, right to jail, right away. Believe it or not,
right away,
to jail.
straight to jail.
Right to jail. So it's like, you understand, they can see how that was bad back then. But now that the governing authority of our day is dictating what is true and what is false and making themselves the highest authority of these topics, they can't see the parallel. They can't say, like, oh, this is like how it was when the Catholic Church with Galileo, you know what I mean, with science. They can't make that comparison. Like, it's all fucking weird, man. It's so weird.
It is. It's all very weird.
Is that, what is it called? When, like, you it'll come to me.
Jump in anytime. I'll move on to something weird. Have you weirder that word. Now every time I say it, I'm like, well, there's a word I can't use anymore. I can, but it's
now they stole weird from me.
Now they stole weird,
mister. I'm glad. Cognitive dissonance, that's the word. It's cognitive dissonance. When, like, they can see the parallel, they know something's true, but they still just can't admit it.
They can't.
You know, like, they cannot.
They absolutely just cannot.
They're like, like, it'll kill them to admit it. They just, like, literally, it's cognitive dissonance. There's no other word for it. And it's to the point where they are blatantly lying. They blatantly will not admit it. They are wrong, or that their party could be wrong, or that their side could do the harm. Like, it's just checked out completely. Like,
well, to me that just even goes deeper to the core, that they function on fear. So fear motivates them instead of truth and love.
Right.
Truth, love, light.
Well, right,
Um,
because fear of like being abandoned by their friends, fear of losing a job, fear of getting ousted as a fascist, racist, bigot, boogeyman. You know what I mean? Like anything but that. I'd rather have cognitive dissonance and just go along with the herd forever than ever have my receive any pushback from anybody that I know. Like,
I just have my super nice face on, and I do everything.
dude, I like want the pushback. I'm like, come at me, bro. Like, come for me. Like, do
Yeah,
it. You know, like
do it.
they won't. They don't. I'm like, why? That's not how you have to be, though. But
Yeah, and it. I think I'll probably say it every show that we ever do. Like, I don't like. I'm just. There's at least one point in the show where I'm just my brain uh just kind of sits numb and just kind of just like some of the like this conversation that we're about to have. Have you watched the Candace Owen interview with the exclusive interview with the gentleman that exposed Macron for being a man
I
over
did
in?
not. I like. I think I told you in the pre-show that I like saw a reel of it, just like a clip, a very maybe like under 5 minutes, but I haven't seen that
I
full.
mean, you know, life is but a stage. We're all actors, and I think if there's one thing that I would tell anybody, I've been to acting school. I went to a 2-year Meisner Conservatory. And if anything, what it really helped me do was to pick out motherfuckers that can't nail their script. And that's in life. That's not just on screen. Although I don't watch anything anymore because I just don't, I see it with a different eye and the programming. Um, but this motherfucker, 47 years old, and he was 14. And this is like, I mean, Candace Owen, the way she's covering it, she wouldn't have done this if she wasn't. And I actually, for all my not a fan of the Catholic Church, I actually am. I do like Candace Owens. I think I
I have
think
respect.
you
Respect.
actually have a way. You're kind of that way in communication, which I absolutely adore. I just have so much respect for. I just love your brains and the way that you communicate. I feel like you and Candace Owens in the same room would just like you have that same. I feel like you do have that same powerhouse kind of very quick intellect about you, which I really do. I really do love. But she,
Also a little aggressive, like not afraid to get a little bit confrontational. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Your Mercury's in Leo, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the eighth house.
And what's that?
In the
Eighth
eighth.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. Um, but and also I think it's with your Gemini moon because you can go back and forth. I have the Cancer moon, so I'm a little more watery. Anyway, not to dissect our, not to get off on astrology, although I could go off anyway.
Kim could
Um,
talk about astrology all damn day, and I'm here
all day
for it.
horses and astrology all day.
She breaks shit down for me all the time.
Um, but that he was 14 and the woman, or presenting as the woman, was
Wink, wink.
the woman, 47 and 14. This is, and if you remember, one of our first shows, I said that I was diving very deep into the classicists, Greek classicists,
Mm.
who, when they say what the Bible said, it's very different than what theologians say. So I'm over here with the classicists, and said that the cult that won Rome and the reason why Rome fell was because of a pedophilic cult.
Mm.
And of course, my investigator brain is just like I have so much going on right here, whether it's writing and putting it into stuff that I'm adding into a one-woman show, or how we would present this as a show, because it's 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 the real, like it's coming out like it is. And I don't give a shit if Candace Owens is a gatekeeper and now they're targeting pedophiles. I'm fine with it. if the
Me
if
too.
if there's going to be some sort of a revelation within the Catholic Church, and I'm all good. I want peace, and more than I want to argue the like whether or not I like church. It
Right.
doesn't fucking matter if I like church. I do my own thing out in nature. You may not like that. So, hey, but if we can agree that if there's a pedophilic energy that's infiltrated through our top leaders, and there are people that are going to go after them, then I'm all for it. Um, so she gained some points. She's back on my, um, um, good. Like I don't have any. That's not true, because I do think that Andrew Tate. I think there's something with his uh the way that he lives his life, that there's something there with trafficking. Anyway, that's kind of a divergent to what I was talking about. And
Well,
and
he also he talks a lot about the sex work, even like the way he scams young men. Like he even admitted it so many times that guys would think they were talking to like some hot girl, but really he's like messaging them and like they're sending him money
getting
and
them to
stuff. And like
say,
there's like it's very manipulative and it just gives pimp energy. And like I don't like that energy.
I've always felt like he's like men that get a little, not a lot, but they get that whatever it is he's got, that they're closet gays. They're
I mean,
repressed homosexuals.
a little bit. There's something repressed there, or they
Mhm.
secretly just hate women and they
Yeah.
really just
Mhm.
want to subjugate and dominate us. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I know that there a lot of the even a lot of the trans, not that I a lot of true trans is a big a lot of people don't agree with it, but I do think there is gender dysphoria, and then I do
Yeah.
think there is autogynephilia. And the AGPs, a lot of them are really gross men, a lot of them old, coming out in their 60s as I'm a woman now. And a part of it is these are incel type men. They don't have access to women or kids, whatever their fucking game is, right? It is a sexual paraphilia, and it is proven in psychology that if somebody has one paraphilia, they most likely have multiple paraphilias. And part of it
Mhm.
is about dominating and subjugating and basically saying, like, I don't fucking care what you think. I'm going to get to be around you in the locker room when you're naked and in your intimate spaces where you feel vulnerable. And like, then that's it. It's about, there's a dominating aspect to
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? And it runs with many different things, including that pimp energy. They
Yeah.
think they're being protectors and masculine, but it's like,
Mhm.
no, you want to dominate and you want to subjugate
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you want to put yourself above, you know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
ultimately, like that's the vibe. I have like
Mhm.
some girlfriends that are like, you know, not woke, like more like red pilled, and like they'll constantly like post some Tate shit, and I'm just like every time I'm just like, oh man, like this is not the vibe. Like
Mhm.
even a broken clock is right twice a day, you know.
Yeah,
Like so he says a little truth here and there. That's not enough
mhm.
for me to
Mhm.
respect him, you know.
Yeah, I just have lived too much life, to not,
And you know, with Candace, I will give her credit. I feel like if she does come to a point where she delves into some sort of topic or rabbit hole and it like exposes some shit about her own religion, I feel like she would still expose it. You know, even the way with the Daily Wire, like those were her bosses. They were
yeah.
even like a
No,
little
I
bit
do.
friends, you know.
The last few interviews that I've watched her do, and calling out, the Jewish pedophile, and we're starting to see more and more people have some really open discussions about Zionism. Dave Smith, I've been diving into his stuff too. As a libertarian, he's easy for me to hear. I think still there's still certain things. Then you have like what's that? Nick Fuentes, of course, he takes it to a whole different level. So if you're not having the conversation he's having, he's going to tell you that you're not even worthy of the conversation, because you're just still skirting around stuff. And I suppose that's how I think a lot of us felt when, like when the Ron Paul stuff got hijacked, and then you see it on being talked somewhere else, and you're seeing it watered down, and you're like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You hijacked it from us. We were the ones down there, that the original grassroots. We were the ones. we you've hijacked, everything gets hijacked, everything gets
or
infiltrated.
yeah, or even infiltrated. Yeah, they
Hmm.
and sometimes even on purpose, or sometimes people just
Sure.
for their own means because they see a way to
Hmm.
capitalize on something, and or they have some sort of audience and they can capitalize on that. You know what I mean? It's usually for personal gain, but a lot of times there are just like infiltrators within
Hmm.
certain Democrat or Republican parties that
Hmm.
are, you know, trying to like take it over from the inside type of deal. You know what I mean? So a lot of it, I think, is just, yeah, people who are opportunists. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of grifters, a lot of
A
that.
lot of
But I
grifters.
will
Yeah.
say that um, uh, I I do find myself kind of having a little bit of a I just really I like her. I do like her. Um, yeah,
I like
I
her
do.
too. I like how she can cut through the bullshit. I like the way she makes her points, the way she
Yeah.
solidifies them, how clear she is with her
Yeah.
message. And a little bit, yeah, like she's clever, she's fast.
Yeah.
She is a little bit confrontational, you know, like if somebody wants to debate her, she will do it. Like I like that, even in a woman, maybe because I am that way, like she will not back down, and she's not scared of anybody, and she's like confident in like
Yeah.
what she can do, you know. And
All the above. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
have respect for her, you know. I do. I respect Candace Owens, and that's not to say that I have to agree with. I don't agree with everything. I'm sure there's even shit with Ron Paul that I disagree with. I don't agree with anybody 100% of the time,
No,
you know. And it's like,
no.
if that's your expectation for politicians or whoever, that's weird. That's a weird expectation. You know what I mean? Like, and if you do align with every single thing somebody says, like, you should really start questioning because you're most likely fucking programmed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it,
Or if you become like a fan guy, fangirl, where you kind of lose sight of what it really is. And I think a lot of well, celebrity culture, I just think it's our news cycle shouldn't be a 24-hour reality show, and like like they're you're fans of these guys. They're fucking politicians, they're psychopaths. They're
well, I mean, now
and
when even Colbert is coming out and making jokes about CNN being unbiased with that lady or whoever she was, you know what I mean? It's just like, even your side is like being like, come on, like you're laying it on a little thick, you know? Like,
and they're gonna start. I think they're really starting to figure this out.
yeah, guys, I think we can only run with this for so long, you know? Like,
Well, like in the Macron thing, the level of because they're not suing him for libel. They're coming after him now for an article that he did 3 years ago and calling him an anti-Semite. So it's just the attack. It's 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 so gross. Did you see the picture of he's on the boat with her? Well, him, her, but Macron, and you can
but
clearly
that's all
see.
the Jewish thing is also, that's what everybody says about Zionism, why a lot of these like Rockefeller or Rothschild, they're not even real Jews by blood or by religion. They
Right.
claim that so they have a victimhood that they can always claim. So whenever you point the finger at them, all they have to claim is anti-Semitism. I'm Jewish. You just hate Jews, and like that's always their scapegoat or whatever.
Oh,
You
that's
know
what
what
I
I
was going
mean?
to say earlier. The guy that was on Tucker, he was doing a series on breaking down how the mob and mafia are different, and that the origins was the mob or the mafia. They got Israel, so it's a mafia state, mob state, and that the mafia got Hollywood. It's worth watching, and it just kind of I think people more and more people are starting to because this used to be, I mean, a conversation that you just didn't have really talking about the history of World War II and Hitler and because it is such a sensitive subject with um, the gas chambers and the all of the horrific uh,
Yeah, there's an emotional like cry, like there's a, you know what I mean,
yeah.
like it, yeah, it brings your emotions
And
to the
then if you
surface.
have the story continually told and you just keep telling the story and telling the story and the numbers are they're arguably wrong, and that the history that you're told is just not the truth. And so, sure, there are books on it. You have to really dig for the subject. You have to, and it's not one that I've ever had openly, but it certainly has been discussed, and I'm aware of some of the truths that that wouldn't want you to know. And so to see it starting to come out, and not just it be something that, I mean, Dave Smith is Jewish, and so you have people that are coming out and finally talking about some truths about World War II that I think could be very shocking to some people. And like with the cognitive dissonance, I don't know that you could even get the story. It would just cause such an uproar, because the truth of the Israeli state, and the foundation that it's on. These are some
Well, yeah, the
kind of,
conflict of interest when you've learned something your whole life and it's been
yeah.
drilled in there, and then like you're being told that like, well, like maybe some of this isn't true, or like the numbers were exaggerated, or like, maybe there was like some reasons, like, you know what I mean? Like you can't, it's that you hit the cognitive dissonance wall. Like you can't go back. It's very hard to unlearn. And they know that. That's why these history books are the way they are. That's how they control the history. Like literally everybody knows the victors control history. You know what I mean? And so it's yeah, it's very hard to go back and unlearn, or undo certain, things that have
One,
been in the media, and you hear these numbers go around your whole life
yeah,
for 40 years. Schindler's List and all this
yeah,
stuff, you know what I mean? So
always,
it's
yeah.
like,
It's so deeply embedded. And then
but
also
I
the,
wanted to say something about the Macron thing really quick before I forget. It's so scary to me because, as we know, as above, so below, as within, so without, as within, so without. And as you see this like pedophilia culture and these grooming situations happen on a celebrity and like political world stage, you start to notice that it's also happening in the masses. So like I've been noticing this pattern with teachers, female teachers, who are getting arrested for sleeping with like 12 to like 16-year-old boys, basically. A lot of them in middle school, 8th and 9th grade. And it came a little close to home. So without saying, well, I'm going to say her name because I don't give a fuck. And she's gross. One of my best friends, when I first met her, she's known this girl since she was like 10 years old. And there was always a weird competitive streak. And when I came into her life, this girl was kind of around a little bit, but she quickly kind of ousted her just because the way she felt like she got a new boyfriend, and she felt like she was lingering with the hugs too much, laughing a little too much at his jokes, just felt the intuition. I never liked her. Her name is Natasha Polk. You can go read the news article. She was just arrested like a week ago. Came out, she had been sleeping with a 13-year-old boy. She's a school teacher, by the way. Now she's fucking arrested. And it came out in the news because they're wondering if there are more victims. And the worst part about it to me is this kid, I think he's in juvie. And, the one thing the system will do is once you're an adult, they don't give a shit about you. But if you're still a child or a minor, I feel like they do try to rehabilitate you, give you therapy. And his therapy, this is what I imagine happened. It came up and he told his therapist, and they went and arrested this girl. He was already a troubled youth, broken home. She was buying him weed, alcohol, getting him drunk, sleeping with him at 13 years old, and she's 30 something. And like, so you're going to take a kid who's already struggling, who already has fucking trauma, and you're going to add to it. You're going to compound on that.
that's
And it's just like,
exactly who they're going to go for.
and today I saw one in Las Vegas. Las Vegas teacher arrested for sleeping with a 12-year-old boy. 12 years old. Like, I'm sorry, female pedophiles, get the fucking bullet too. Turn
All
and
of
face
them.
the wall. All of them. I don't
All of
care.
them.
There's no excuse for this shit. And the weird part is the majority of these women are attractive. They're not even like ugly, unattractive women. It's so weird. It's like an epidemic. And I'm just like, is it the power, the control? Is it like wanting to feel dope, like love? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. It's so weird
I
to
would,
me.
I would, I would even say, Sarah, that we have a predatorial energy. When I say that when I say, okay, the work I do with trauma and the way that I look out on the world stage through archetypes, is that there truly is a energetic hijacking of the sacral chakra, which is your emotional sacral sexual energy. It's your emotional center. And if that is, I just think we're seeing what's always been there, and it's just now it's whether it's the internet or whatever it is, this sickness is coming out and showing itself in ways that
It just wasn't available to us before, or like maybe because of social media, you know?
I do. I think I think that there's something, because I think what we have on this, I think we have an epidemic of
I
whether
also
it,
think I think that porn is a big part of it
I
too,
was
the
just going to
porn
say,
culture.
porn, it's a touch, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
It's part of
Porn,
it. I know it's part of it.
I do too. And I think that things happen in people's homes that you don't remember, and I think it's way more than we've ever even kind of or thought, because everybody puts on a mask and they're just, everybody's an actor, and um, that
Well,
I
nobody
mean,
wants to talk about that. Also, it's the whole thing that the survivor feels the shame, the victim feels the guilt.
mhm,
They get the majority of the guilt and the shame, which is why
mhm,
these things run in families. People never talk about it. By the time they
mhm,
do, the person has already died or something, because
mhm.
for whatever reason, the victim feels like they need to protect the the perpetrator. You know what I mean? And
I just think it's more. I think that it's more. So many broken people with their sexual energy, and that it's the gratification, like, I talk about divine union, divine partnership, and certainly that's, I want a divine partner.
right.
Um, but I think that for a lot of people, I mean, and I in my 20s, I wasn't thinking divine union. I wouldn't have been able to
No.
tell you what a fucking divine union. Now, didn't have the internet, and I'm an older model, but um, so I understand hormones and just the nature of being a man and woman. There's a lot there, but I think that a lot of people are acting out of epigenetic trauma and um, very low, very low energy when it comes, and because I don't think a lot of people understand how powerfully we are when we're in union, and how incredibly sacred that is. And porn just takes, I just think it takes so much
Well,
out
it
of the
destroys it.
relationship.
It's also addicting. It puts ideas,
Mhm,
like that's the thing with porn, and a lot of like even like ped- pedophiles, like when they're interviewed, they say that it actually started with porn. You know, they just started by watching regular porn, and
mhm,
then they needed more and more and more to be gratified by
mhm,
it, because it
mhm.
desensitizes you. It gets boring. And that's part of the problem with the incel community. Also, a lot of these dudes aren't even bad looking. It's just they've watched so much porn that they've dehumanized women. They don't know how to interact with women. And then if they do have sex, it's honestly disappointing for them, because they're fucking, I mean, porn addicted. There's no other
And it
word for
also
it.
it feminizes men.
It does.
It was no friend to my marriage. I'm divorced.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
I'll
one of the catalysts, right? For kind of like the breakdown is like the porn addiction. And you're
and
not alone. A lot of
oh,
marriages,
no,
a
no,
lot
no.
of them.
I've had more conversations with women
Makes
and
me
in
sad.
groups when I was out, when I was first kind of just wrapping my head around divorce, and kind of, anyway. Um, and it was, I would even say 60% of the women in these groups, that was the reason. I think we have a huge epidemic with, I think that's why I don't like the red pill thing. I just don't think it's a friend to really what men and women want. I think it's very sad, and even like hearing body count or high value. Look, if you meet someone and there's a connection, then I don't like. Is body count going to keep you? I suppose maybe it would. I think I've said that before.
I mean,
Unless
honestly, I think it really does depend, but it's like
yeah, it's
if
situational.
if that's the value of somebody, and like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm 40 now, like I've definitely slowed down. Like I actually don't even care who knows. Like I've been celibate for 2 years now, you know, and it's not because there's something wrong with me. It's honestly because I was sick of getting hurt. I was sick of
Mhm.
online dating. I'm sick of getting ghosted. Like I don't I'm sick of putting time with guys for months dating them only to literally
Mhm.
be ghosted, like to just have them fall off the face of the earth. And it's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'd
I
rather
went
be
6
alone.
years.
Like,
I
I'd
went
rather be
6 years.
alone.
This was the first year that I even attempted to go out, and I was like, got my fucking nose swatted. So I'm with you, and it's not something that I mean, it's just
You know,
not
it's funny. It's
something.
funny because I consider myself a volcel. I'm voluntarily celibate. I'm not in. I'm a cute girl with a cute body. I could go out to any. I could go out to the bar right now, and I'm sure I could find somebody to have a
Absolutely,
one night stand with. But I don't want to. I don't
yeah,
want that. I
that
value
does not
myself
appeal
more
to
than
me.
that. It
I
doesn't
want a
appeal to
divine
me.
union.
Me too.
I'm waiting for divine partnership, and that's
And I also know I'm
I
not going to
will
find that at the bar.
no, and I don't. I stopped drinking anyway, so um, it's just it's crazy out there. And living in Sedona, Arizona, it's not like my dating pool here is phenomenal.
It's probably like
So
mostly, if anything, the guy comes on the market because he's freshly divorced.
yeah, so and I'm not going to do dating sites or anything like that, but
Mm-mm.
um, I actually heard somebody was at the grocery store today, and I overheard a couple, and I heard the high value thing, and I just thought and here's another thing, when any like the red pill stuff, when anything goes mainstream, it's like go the other way. And
Absolutely.
even the guy Tomasi, Rollo Tomasi, he's one of the original kind of OGs of it. He even said like because he has some if you listen to some of his points as far as the statistics on the differences between men and women, and you can read between the lines of um, the hyperbolic deliveries, and you can kind of just, is that the right word, hyperbolic? Um, and you can listen to some of the facts, then just go, okay, I can see a man's point of view on, why submission, it maybe, I don't like that word, but for lack of a better word, the submission, because the differences, and when a woman feels safe and protected, and then we can have that conversation. But when you start saying that, oh, well, she's 30 and she's no longer high value because she's had her body count, it's like you just sound like fucking idiots to me.
Well, it's dehumanizing and it takes
Hmm.
away your dignity. And at the end of the day, human
Hmm.
beings have dignity, and like, oh, sloppy sex. Like, human beings are not sandwiches. I'm sorry, they're not. You also don't know what somebody went through in their life. Oh, high body count. What if she was fucking sex trafficked against her will? Is she still
Hmm.
just a disgusting, used up fucking piece of
Hmm.
bleh? And it's just like, you don't know people's stories. You don't even know if they've
Hmm.
grown out of that mentality, or like
Hmm.
what it took them to get there. And literally, it's just saying that like you have no dignity, you have no value as a human, and it's dehumanizing language. Like it dehumanizes
Yeah.
mainly women, because men, oh, they can fuck as many people as they want and they can still be high value. It's the double standard. It's the rules for
Hmm.
thee but not for me. And it's like,
Hmm.
trust me, I will preach all day how I think modern feminism has hurt women. I think the free love and
Hmm.
free sex movement has hurt women and makes it so men do not have to, they
Work
don't,
it.
well, not even work, they don't have to commit. They can just
Hmm.
go fuck
Yeah.
anybody. They don't have to commit to you, because
Yeah.
they can go get sex from Sally down the street if they're handsome enough or charismatic enough, because it's not all about looks. Some of these incel dudes are hot, but they have no riz, as the kids say. They have no
The
charisma.
kids say.
They can't talk to girls. I've like kind of like how Mersh is. Mersh is funny as fuck. You know that dude can get laid because he knows how to talk to girls. He's funny,
Fuck yeah.
and and he's confident. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of all it takes. Like, that's how, like, you see sometimes these beautiful women and you're like, the hell is she doing with him? But meanwhile, he's low-key a comedian, funny as hell, probably makes a good living. You know what I mean? So it's like, looks aren't everything, but why is it only unidirectional towards women? Why is it only
Yeah.
women that have to be dehumanized? Like, it's never men, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm sick of that. I don't like
I
that
am too.
mentality. Also saying that women have no value once they get past a certain age, like saying that you or my stepmom or even me, because I'm 40, I have no value as a human. I have nothing to offer the world. My brain, my fucking voice, my music, I have nothing to offer just because I'm past my fertile years. Fuck you. You have nothing to offer, which is probably why you don't have a girlfriend. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, like, I probably have a nicer car than you. Like, sorry, like, not to be mean, but
Yeah.
I at least can offer somebody a fucking ride in a comfortable car, motherfucker. Like, what?
Yeah, I just find it to be well, it's just one of those moments where again, I find myself quite a few times during the week, even days, where I'm like, I can't believe I'm even having that conversation or that I even
Have to
am
think about it.
have to think about this. Like even the Macron thing, and I'm kind of jumping around here, but looking at the pictures and then looking at the like the world stage and where we're at, and these people, it's obvious that like they don't give two fucks.
They're not hiding
They
anymore.
are putting it in your face and they don't give two fucks, and people still um and I suppose if everybody woke up, I don't know, the
It's
chessboard,
out,
the
but
game.
it's out in the open, and that's like part of their thing. They have to show you what they're doing. They have to tell you what they're
Mhm.
doing because
Yeah.
it clears them of their bad karma if they tell you we're going to depopulate you. We're going to stick you with injections that could possibly like attack certain genetic wheat like gaps in your DNA.
And then you
And
could eat bugs.
yeah, you're gonna eat the bugs. You're gonna live in the pod. You're not gonna be allowed to fucking farm animals. Oh, because cow farts are bad. Meanwhile, the people who are bitching about cow farts are flying around on their fucking private jets. Like, give me a break. One big volcano produces more carbon than we've fucking produced in the last 50 years. You know what I mean? So, like, give me a fucking break, really. Like, I'm just so over the carbon, the green energy, when really it's not green. They're just trying to sell you something. These aren't solutions. There's nothing that's a
Mhm.
solution about it. If anything, they create a whole host of their own problems. The wind turbines aren't recyclable, go in a fucking landfill. The
Mhm.
fucking solar panels end up in a landfill. The lithium mines, the cobalt mines, all of it is just the copper. This is the thing that people also, the amount of copper that would be required to make all of these systems work. We would have to start digging up deep sea fucking mines to get the amount of copper that we need for this green energy to work. Like,
Yeah.
it's not feasible and it's not green, and there's nothing good about it until we can pull energy out of the fucking ether like Tesla shit.
Tesla. I was just gonna.
That is the only time. And you know, the closest thing, Michael Schellenberger wrote that book. I'll have to send it to you. I can't remember what it's called, but it's something about like green energy or whatever. And the closest thing we have is actually nuclear energy. And he defends it because he said the same reason why people are scared of it is the same reason why it's stable and safe. The only
Yeah.
time nuclear power plants fail is when we discard them and when we
Yeah.
stop using it and updating it and keeping everything safe.
Mhm.
You can keep a nuclear power basically forever, but you just have to keep using it and working on it. And every time you have to keep changing, you know, the valves or whatever, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
components of it, you have to constantly keep updating it. But as long as somebody is there to maintain the structural integrity
Mhm.
of it, it will go
Yeah.
forever.
I think I've seen an interview with that name sounds familiar. I think I've heard
He's
that
great.
before where, and you know, I mean, then we go back to just the amount of propaganda and who controls that and the media and
And the people that are getting rich and who have invested in green energy and who want you
yeah,
to dive into that so now they can make more money. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, people talk about big oil. What about What about big solar? What about big green energy? What about big lithium mines? What about cobalt? What about all the people that are making massive fucking profits off of these solutions? You know what I mean? Oh, but big oil, their profits. You think they're the only people that are profiteering?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, like, I have a fucking bridge to sell you. You know what I mean? Like,
I've got one too.
yeah, fuck. And then
Yeah.
I'll run a barge through it.
And how quickly the news cycles, like people don't even talk about, we have an ex-president that got attempted assassination, and it was
Oh,
one news
if
cycle,
you
maybe
ask
two.
Chat GPT, it says it didn't happen. If you
Really?
ask Chat GPT about the Donald Trump assassination attempt, it says they have no information on it and it didn't happen.
Interesting. Interesting.
Oh,
And I've been thinking a lot about, well, not a lot, but it definitely, like, do I still think that, but actually, let me kind of back that up a bit. It came from a comment that Dr. Paul said in the interview with Nicole Shanahan. He said, "You won't stop the correction. There's going to be a correction. So that's not going to change because, the presidential stuff going on. There's going to be a correction. But who do you want?" Who do you
to like
want?
to navigate it or direct
Yeah,
the
to
correction.
navigate the correct, because it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And without a doubt, Trump.
Well, doesn't it come
Because
back to the
he's
captain of the ship? Who do you want steering the ship?
and because it's the cabinet. If you've got Dr. Paul and you're and this Nicole Shanahan, and these are some faces of what would be in that container or in the White House, then yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, and you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, if he understands that he fucked up last time by
Mhm.
who he put in, and also his major mistake was not firing people. When you look at Obama, when he came into office, he fucking fired so many people. That's normal. That is actually normal. You are the one who gets to do that. But Trump was so scared always of how the media was going to portray him as a Hitler, always taking over. He actually didn't want to. He doesn't want to be portrayed like that. His main problem is he actually cares too much about the press and what they say about him. You know what I mean? Like, he's too sensitive to it. And he tried so hard to dance around it and like appease this person, appease and not come across too strong and not locking her up. You know what I mean? It's just so funny because lock her up, lock her up. He didn't. I remember he came out and he's like, no, like, guys, we're not going to do that. Like, we're going to try to bring the temperature down. But then as soon as the fucking Dems got in office, they have done nothing but try to lock up their fucking political rivals on a mass scale from uh, just even little people that went to J6, little
Mhm.
grandmas who were invited in
Mhm.
by the cops and shit, to actual like Roger Stone or whatever, just like all these different people that they're politically persecuting for the
Mhm.
stupid crimes, minimal bullshit crimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they did it, but it's just so funny because they're still running with he's gonna lock everybody up. They always accuse the right of doing what they themselves are currently doing, are
Mhm.
planning on doing, and what they are complicit in doing. That is their tell. You know what I mean? Everything they say, this
Mhm.
is what they're gonna do. But that's how they
Mhm.
justify. Well, we're just doing it so that it doesn't happen to us. We're saving democracy. That's why we're doing it. We have an excuse to do it. We're the
Mhm.
good guys. Remember, we can lock them up because they're genuinely bad, you guys. Like, but if they lock us up, oh, then no, that can't, no. Like, it's
Right?
just so fucking dumb. Like, how do I still, when I talk about it like this, it really does make me mad because it's so stupid and obvious. And the fact that people just go along with it because they're the good guys, they're on the good side.
Mhm.
They can lock up the bad guys, the Nazis,
Mhm.
the fascists, the corporatists.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and how long ago did the History Channel turn into the Hitler channel? I mean, that happened I swear to God, that was going on when I was still living in LA. That's 20 years ago is when all of a sudden, literally, it went from the History Channel to everything was about Hitler. It was
Talk about beating a dead horse.
but this is predictive
But to be
programming.
nice, we could say feeding a fed horse instead.
There we go. But this is predictive programming. And that's
Yeah.
another one that I like, that when I tell people, like, well, predictive programming, it's like, oh, okay, I got to dial this back a little bit. I'm I thought everybody knew about predictive programming. And I do need to remind myself a lot of times that I've been talking about this stuff for so long that, like when I say, like, I don't know how that can happen, it's like I do. But in the moment when we're talking about it, and because we've been talking about it so long, it does, it's very weird. It's
Yeah,
very weird
I
to
tried to
exist.
explain it to somebody. It's like I feel bad because this shit is like common knowledge and it feels like it should be common sense for most people. But then I have to remember that not everybody knows what I know. And that's like actually hard for me to
Yeah.
take in. Like I expect everybody to know what I know and be on the fucking level with me. And most of them aren't. Like we said last week, like most people are just trying to get through their day, get home, make dinner for their kids, maybe lay in bed and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for fucking 20 minutes before they pass out and have to wake up and do it all over again, you know? And it's like
Yeah.
that's part of the reason of keeping people though in that cycle is so they can
Sure.
never figure it out. They don't have the time to put into it, or if they do, it stresses them out, because I'm not going to lie, it is low-key stressful, and people
Yeah.
don't want to be stressed out. They just want to think everything's hunky-dory and everything's going to work out fine and the government loves us and my kids are going to be okay. And it's like, really, like, but bro, like, you're an ostrich with your head in the sand and the government is about to fucking make us all slaves and they're trying to depopulate the world, including you and every single person that you love. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it that it's scary, but sticking your head in the sand, you're compounding the problem and you're speeding it up, you
I
know?
remember what I was going to say when we were, when when the words just left my mouth was, oh my God, I just did it again. Shit. Oh my God, Kim. That's ridiculous.
It's not as bad as when I ate all them edibles for that one show.
Poof, what was I going to say? God dang it. I was so proud of myself for remembering it. And then as quickly as it came in, it said, bye.
I said,
Oh my God. If
you'll
you've
come back
never
around.
witnessed someone with ADHD and you're like, what do people with ADHD act like? Well, that's one of them. That words will just disappear.
Another one which you can find with us is bouncing from one subject to the next and
Yes.
then back to the previous subject. We like to do that a
And then
lot.
back to another show because we're connecting dots very easily.
We are. We're putting
We're
it
on
together
it.
for you guys, okay?
Yeah, keep it interesting. Gosh darn it. Oh, I don't know. I am gonna blame it on Mercury just going direct. It's been quite an astrological season. Speaking of another subject that we could bounce onto, today is a new
New
moon,
season in
new season,
September.
Virgo. I don't know how you felt. I've been loving it. I have a packed seventh, eighth, and ninth house, so I I actually really and my south node is Virgo, so
Mm.
I'm comfortable in it. I've been cleaning like nobody's business. I know you said you've been cleaning, so
My hands are so tore up. I literally put clear polish on when we were like at the start of the show, because like if my nails start to peel or crack, like I'm unfortunately, like they look okay right now, right? Like my hands are ugly. I have man hands. I don't care. But I was a nail biter my whole life, like to the point, like when I was a kid, it was a nervous habit, like from, just like traumas, the way you deal with things. But I was so
Mhm.
bad that I would bite them to where like they would bleed, and like I'd do the cuticles, and like, so if there's like a little hangnail or anything starts to peel or chip, like it's like a reflex. I won't even realize I'm doing it until I look down. I'm like, fuck, 3 of the nails are gone. You know what I mean? So like I
Right.
have to keep polish on them, and I was cleaning so much, like pine salt, vinegar, like all like mopping, and like I was descaling some stuff with vinegar, and like my little clear polish was already like chipping off. So I took it off, and I was like, I have to put it on now, or I know that I'm gonna forget, and I'm just gonna sit there and like they're gonna be gone, like, and
Well,
then it's gonna hurt.
I painted mine, which I don't ever do. I did my toes and my nails one day, and I have this left on my thumb because I don't have any
Very
nail polish
demure.
remover.
Just kidding.
And so the rest of them have finally chipped off because and I know better than to commit to the nails because I won't keep doing it, and I'll just keep it on till that's my thing is I'll pick until it's like a stress reliever to just take it
I
off.
have like such working hands. I really do. Like they're not demure. They're not dainty. That I have like I do have working hands. I also am like a massage therapist. I have like a good grip. I just like I've always not like my mom's hands so beautiful. Most beautiful nail beds. Me, my dad's hands for sure, for sure. Like worker hands. Like the I also probably don't take care of them as much as I should, but I
I'll
take
remember
care of
what
the money maker.
I remember what I was going to say.
You better say it.
Oh my God, I'm just going to embarrass. Oh, that that I had mentioned that I'd been on a list or however, definitely on the radar for quite some time. That there is a courage that comes from that. That once you accept that, once you realize that and you face that, there's a strength that comes from that. I mean, I was followed in LA. I did a Scientology expose, and I know those fuckers were following me. I caught them in my alleyway. They're ruthless. I mean, they are a very strange. Well, now I think that they're like anytime that you confess to someone else, I think it's a blackmail thing. So I think that's what that is.
It
And
is.
I was pretty vocal about that, and I was vocal about Narcanon, and um, facing that. Anything that you can do to build your courage, there's something very beautiful about that. And by facing those subjects and the people or the energy, and then standing tall in that, it made me want to stand up for truth more. It made me want to do it more. So it didn't work with me, like keeping, scare them and then they'll stay quiet. To me, it was like, well, then fuck you. Now I'm just going to be louder. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't get that memo.
Oh, you thought
You thought you.
wrong. You fucking thought wrong. Like,
I
because you're
don't know
gonna
what the
learn
fuck.
today. You know what I mean? Like,
Now you're gonna know. Like that's just
yeah.
not
If you don't
it.
know, now you know.
Now you know. It made me want to go back to the studio and be harder the next interview. It made me, and I don't have the pit bull or the quick wit like I really like Candace Owens in an interview, but I'll go for what I need to, and I will have those. I'll speak my truth, um, but it was scary. It was you face yourself in a different way, um, and then you come out the other side, and so even if it's not doing a podcast or speaking out in a way that like find your voice though, find your truth, and even if it's that you just research some stuff, be open to changing your mind. Even it's
Yeah, at least be open to taking in new information that might contend with your
Mhm.
current belief system or structure. And there's like that quote, like, speak the truth even if your voice shakes. And I do really believe that courage and bravery is a muscle. And the more you flex it and the more you
Absolutely.
use it in spite of being scared or whatever, like the easier it comes. And like I had to learn that. Like I remember there were some times when I would make a post or like a Facebook post and I would literally have like butterflies in my stomach because I just
Yeah.
fucking knew that there were going to be people coming out of the woodworks trying to belittle me, trying to tag teaming each other. So now there's my whole post
Mhm.
has been taken over by
Mhm.
people who all have the same ideology. And I would literally like get a little bit sick sometimes going to
Yeah.
make a post. But the more I did it, the easier it became, the
Yeah.
more I let shit roll off my shoulders, and I didn't care, because it is a muscle. The more you
It is.
use it, the more you do it, because you have to. Courage is like doing something in spite of the fear, because you
That's
feel it
right.
of fear. You hit a wall, and you're like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna fucking climb it
Mhm.
anyways, even though like
Mhm.
I'm scared. I don't know what's on the other side. There might be fucking alligators in a moat. Like, I have no idea, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
go for it. And it's like, it's doing it in spite of the fear, in spite of whatever like hesitation
Absolutely.
or whatever like social pressure, because that's the same thing. It's like most people are scared of the social implications. Like, I've had
Mhm.
my music buddy tell me, like, even tell me like, just seeing you post your opinion gave room and gave me like the
Mhm.
courage and the okay to do it myself, because he saw that I was still okay, that I still had friends, that I was okay in spite of coming out with my beliefs. And he's like, you honestly, he told me that, like, it made me feel a certain way, that it's like, wow, like, I'm glad, because I didn't know that. But he said that it gave him a space to, and he's like, he's even mentioned it to me after, like, he's like, I don't go as hard as you, he's like, but even the little things that I do say, he'll receive so much pushback. And he made this one very, very sweet post about how like we need more love, and you shouldn't just judge people by their political opinions, and everyone is just so judgmental, and like telling people that they're bad people if they feel a certain way. And just such a mild Facebook post got like 30 or 40 fucking comments of all these people just like ripping him a new asshole, and it was just honestly the mildest take. And I was like, just like, what is fucking wrong with these people? And they're emboldened, because most of the people who align with him or feel the same way or agree with him, they won't comment. They see it, they'll like it, but they're not the ones that are going to comment, or they're not going to be a Captain Save-A-Ho in the comments. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is they're willing, and even likewise, him, me, people like me and you all see somebody's post that I disagree with, and I don't feel the need to reply
Yeah.
or retort or like combat their opinion. I just let them have it. I see it, I go, I disagree with that,
Right.
but I'm not going to fight you. And if I did want to fight them, you know what I would do? I would honestly direct message them, which for some reason I have done before. People take it as more aggressive, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to be respectful so I don't take over your comment thread. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to have an
Yeah.
actual one-on-one discussion with you out of respect, so I don't start this whole war on your fucking Facebook post. You know what I mean? And it's like, people are like, "Oh, you're so aggressive." So but so confrontational. I'm like, I am confrontational, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think a word you said that you were looking for is like tenacity. I do have a
No.
tenacity, that
Yes, you
bulldog
do.
spirit. And it's
Yes, you
only
do.
because, much like everything else, it is a muscle that I had to use over and over and over in my life, mostly involuntarily, to the point that when I was an adult, it came easy for me to be
Mhm.
tenacious. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Yeah.
a
I
reflex at that point,
Yeah, I totally, yeah, I think that that's, well, even back how I even got into broadcasting, and like I've just always been someone that the more that you tell me like that I can't, or that you've got some authority, like well now now I just have, now that's just like that you don't know me, and
I
I'm
see
not
your
one.
authority, and I raise you with a free speech. You don't own me. You can't
Yeah,
control me.
like watch me now.
Yeah.
I loved when I first got on air, and was I the freedom that just when you find your voice.
Hi.
And I think that trauma also, those of us
So
that
cute.
are in that CPTSD world, we tend to do really well. Like, you want us on your zombie team. It's been proven that our brains are just outside of the box brains. We're the ones that we're not sitting around like the campfire eating grass and
Getting snuck up on. Yeah, our
getting
intuition
snuck
is
up
primed
on.
for reaction and action.
Yeah, we
And
have a way about it, and it gives you a, you see things differently once you've experienced trauma that.
I feel like, yeah, it gives you like a survivor's edge
Hmm.
almost, like
Absolutely,
like
absolutely. I mean, I've seen things, and I just can't unsee them, and my life has been different in so many ways. I didn't, not much about my life has been traditional, if you will. And I've always been on the outside looking in. And a lot of that not by choice. A lot of that, did happen just
It
by
happened to
circumstances.
you
Hmm.
involuntarily, but the one gift of it is that it has in the long run CPTSD for a lot of people who experienced especially violence or
Hmm.
trauma or involuntarily being used in some way. It hones your instincts and your
Hmm.
intuition,
Hmm.
and it makes it so that you can react faster. It's almost second nature. Like I've had instances where my body is reacting before I have even made the
Yeah,
conscious decision. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And so it's like that,
Absolutely.
but that was an instinct that was
Yeah.
honed. You know what I
And
mean?
I've
I
been
didn't
in,
ask for it.
no, I've been in situations where I had to fight for my life. I mean, I've been in horrific situations. And but there is this psychic gift. Maybe psychic's not the right word, but like you said, just kind of a knowingness, like my body. And it's funny too. Not maybe it's not funny, but the way that I can hear my body now, like I have a completely different relationship with my body now. But in those instances, I was survival was kind of the baseline that I
It was a
functioned from
driving
for so long.
force. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
When
remember when I,
your nervous system can be trained, but the sad thing is in order to hone your nervous system like that, it does take trauma, which is kind
mhm.
of fucked up, you know, like
Yeah, it would seem that it is an interesting, um, I will say this though, now that I'm consistently regulated and that my life is so different, um, I do notice the difference where my intuitive abilities, as opposed to when they were so fucking off the chart when I lived in LA. I got to a place where like I had to shut down the gifts that were coming because it was so much. And then discerning, like, what am I really hearing, and is it a trauma response or is it my intuition? So that that's a different type of intensity because it
and
it's
it's
so heightened.
exhausting. I think what a lot of people don't understand, because I live in the city, I live downtown, I live not necessarily in the best neighborhood, and I always am kind of on guard. I'm always
Hmm.
kind of in the back of my mind, ready, prone to react, ready to react. You know what I mean? And it's I have to admit, it's fucking exhausting.
It
You know, it
is.
takes a toll. While it is beneficial, and I feel like it's primed for survival, it doesn't go without its costs. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it does take a toll, and um, I am thankful for it just because it's definitely saved my life multiple times. It has saved me, you know,
Hmm.
but at a cost. And I
Yeah,
guess I'm grateful for it. Even the pain, the trauma, all the shit I went through, it was for a purpose. It created
sure,
a fighting spirit in me, and it
sure.
did. I'm tough. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
everybody knows it. I ask anybody, everybody knows I'm fucking tough. And
I know
it's not
you are.
something that I asked for though. Like people think it's like a choice or something. Like it's not. It wasn't a choice. It was either be crushed or survive. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
that was what it manifested as. And to my credit, I'm kind of and people don't really mess with me. Girls usually, there's been a few who have fucking learned in the community, in the group. It's not a bragging thing. Like I've had several friends be like, if I'm ever in a fight, like I want you on my side. Like I don't want to piss you off. I don't want to be on your bad side. And it kind of makes me feel bad sometimes, but it's also like I know that I'm a character that a little bit demands respect that most people won't fuck with. And I like that. I like that. And I'm also very honest about it. So I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. And I also don't get my feelings hurt. I am who I am. If I'm not your kind of person, that's okay. Like that's genuinely okay. You know what I mean? Like I have friends. I have people who love me. I'm not trying to make new friends. I love making new friends, but I don't have to, you know, like I don't
hmm,
want fake friends. I certainly don't want that.
no.
So my attitude kind of wards off any sort of like fake friend, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
appreciative of that, you know?
Yeah.
So fuck
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. My life here, God, it's so, I've got my great friends and it's just me and the horses and I'm fine with that. And the dogs. I am very fine with that. And if the universe wants to partner me up, then it'll happen. But I'm
You
very
also, like,
comfortable.
with your work, you do get new people placed in your path all the time. So there's always potential to make
Yeah.
connections and new friends
Yeah.
and lifelong, connections. So I feel
And
like
I have, and
you
so
are in such a, I when I am, in 10 years from now, I hope that I'm in a more chill, peaceful environment where I can just be around my animals and nature and just be fucking chill, man. Like that is, I feel like that's the dream, low key. That is the new American dream. Like being at peace in like a beautiful area and having your needs met, even if it's not overly, I mean, like, of course, we all just want to have like be rich and never have to work. But it's like if your needs are met and you're at peace in your heart and you have a peaceful existence, and like, what more can somebody ask for, you know?
well, I definitely have um, built a life with the horses that's very satisfying, and that I've seen and experienced miracles working with people that have trauma, um, and even my own trauma, and working through all that. And still, it's, I mean, I don't think you ever stop working through stuff or growing, but
Wouldn't that be nice? Like shit.
but I will say that this last year, um, where I was a year ago compared to now, is I'm glad the year's over. It has been one of the most transformational times of my life, and a lot of that had to do with stopping drinking, and then um, for me, it's been the grief that comes along with recognizing time blindness and not understanding that that's so many years thinking, oh, you wake up and I'm 55 years old, and I realize that I have decades that literally I have so much of my life that I just don't remember.
Or just went by
It just went
almost.
by because I have no, with you don't have I don't have like the ability to plan super far out in the future. It's called
Right.
time blindness, and it's very
I
real.
think I have it too, to be honest. It's probably an
It's
ADHD thing.
it is.
Yeah.
And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on ADHD and learning even more about it. Um, because as a late diagnosis, just I was in my 30s when I got diagnosed, and there wasn't anything really out about it. So I just, okay, put me on Adderall
Well,
for a while. I didn't like that, gave it back, and that's the last thing I
and you
really
said just keep
even.
going, just keep living, like not realizing it feels normal, like there with ADHD, like certain things I learn, I'm like, wait, this is not like not everybody feels this way,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or like
yeah,
has these weird ticks or like
yeah.
whatever,
And the
like
CPTSD and ADHD are like, they're there. And so for a long time, I thought, well, with the horses and stuff, I will beat this. And then the not drinking was like, no, you live with this, and you just have tools now that certain things that might have you in a spiral for quite some time. Now you move through effortlessly because you recognize activation, and you learn the language of the nervous system, and maybe that's um, something that I am just convinced of, that your greatest gift is to learn the nervous system and
yeah, it's like
learn
definitely like
what
gives you
that
the
is for you.
tools, setting
Mhm,
healthy habits,
mhm.
boundaries, like these are a lot of things that I know for a fact for a long time I just didn't. Well, first of all, the tools, even like for normal therapy for people with anger, CPTSD, regulating your emotions, a lot of people don't have the tools to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to start, and it's like for so long, I feel like all this epigenetic trauma went unchecked because people just didn't know, they didn't have the tools, and so they just kept on keeping on. I'm just gotta keep going, just gotta keep going, not even realizing that you're now passing it on. You're doing the same thing that happened to you because you were never given the tools to learn how to undo it or stop and breathe and recognize. And it's like there's so much abundance of information out there now that
And
I'm so grateful.
that's one of the reasons on probably anything that we talk about is that I kind of like the internet is I just I don't know, the excuses for certain things just don't fly with me
Anymore, not anymore.
anymore
Yeah.
anymore. And I'm a big fan of the self healers movement, and I think that I do a show with a friend of mine, and we have therapy Thursdays, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about the value. She's a therapist, and but talking about the value of like for her, she just did some improv. The power of creativity, the power of the. There's so many things out there that the individual can find that just resonates, that can heal that inner child and soothe that inner child. And that's I'm totally going off. I mean, now I could talk another 3 hours on this subject. I didn't mean
No,
to get us
I
there,
love
but
it. No, I mean, we were kind of going towards that therapeutic vibe anyways, but I mean, yeah, it's true. There's so many tools, and there's also just like you said, being able to explore it, whether it's taking a painting class or singing karaoke or learning guitar or, doing improv or whatever, like
Mhm,
having an outlet, basically,
mhm.
it's important.
Creativity is just, I think, uh, the
Or
answer.
having a podcast
Or
or
having a
taking
podcast.
a
Yeah.
creative writing course or whatever, journaling, like there's all these things, and it's not a one side. You have to find for you, it's like there's something out there for you as an individual. It's like you just have to find it, and you kind of have to have the courage to find it, because most of these things, even podcasting at first, like felt kind of stupid and just like unversed and like didn't the flow, has definitely changed. I feel like it's gotten better, and
Yeah, we're
there's always a
finding our
learning curve.
groove. We're
There's a
finding
learning
our
curve.
groove.
You have to be able to put yourself out there, and it's like,
Mhm.
and if it's something, if you try something, you really don't like it, and it just really isn't vibing, like that's okay, move on to something else,
Yeah.
like whatever it is. But
Yeah, and a great book for anybody watching, if you see this, The Artist Way is a great book to get you tapped into that. It just talks, we're all artists, but our inner critics are kind of
on
crazy
some
sometimes.
level, yeah.
Yeah, on some level, you know,
Some people
creativity,
don't let themselves be
a
artists, or
lot of
like
people.
they convince themselves like, I'm just not artistic, like I don't have, that's just not. And it's like,
Or the inner child works out. That's stupid. It's like,
yeah, or I
I
don't want
don't
to feel
know.
stupid as a beginner, you know what I mean? Like
Sure. I mean,
that holds a lot of people back.
yeah, my inner child she was a biter and a kicker when I first started hanging out with her. She was like, fuck you, bitch. You left me down here. You just left me.
Dragging her heels.
Now she's like Pippi Longstocking. We're like this. She's fun. I have a great time with my inner child.
I love
For
that.
the first time in my life, I mean, I would say even just 8 months ago, probably was the first time in my life that I could ever look in the mirror and say, I love you and mean it consistently. And today, no matter what my day is, I love myself. And that has taken, that would even, it sounded weird to me to say a year ago, where it's like, duh, I love self-care.
Well,
Yeah, I do that. But to really now understand what self-care and what self-love and being able to say it and stay
yeah, and a lot of times like
consistently emotionally regulated.
because you don't even recognize it, like you're like, of course I love myself. It's like, ooh, but do you, like like a lot of people, and like I've even been aware of sometimes like my own self-loathing, and it's like it is hard to look at yourself in the mirror, and or even like treating yourself like someone you care about, like
Mhm,
taking care of yourself like how you take care of your horses or your dog. And
mhm,
not to be mean, but some people are really shitty at taking care of animals, and they're also really shitty at taking care of themselves. And it's kind of like, but then some people are really shitty at taking care of themselves, but they're good at taking care of their kids or their animals, and it's like,
mhm,
I feel like
mhm.
that side of it, it's because like they don't have enough self-love. Like, you're not treating yourself like somebody that you care about, like how you would
I
treat your
wouldn't have
child.
known. I wouldn't have known. I just didn't growing up in the country, and like you didn't go get your nails done. You didn't do, and I don't do my nails now, but I mean it was more about the self wasn't part of the
Right.
equation.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, even back then in general, I feel like the self, none of this stuff really even came up until I feel like fairly recently, you know?
Yeah,
So not
yeah.
only were people not aware of it, but it also just, there weren't resources for people to learn about it, you know? There
Which
was
is
no open internet, like you had to go check out a book at the library, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, how
The
many
the
people were going
core
to
of
do
it,
that?
the core of it for me is just understanding how fucking beautiful and important the nervous system is, and making that my priority every day. I'm in a habit right now where I set my alarm on my, I don't have a watch, but on my phone, and I set it for the top of the hour. And I reflect on how many times in that hour was I disassociated and out of the now moment.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's it is it's an eye opener
I feel
how
like that.
easy it is to get out of. And I'm out with the horses. I'm a pretty present in, I'm with that. It's but outside of that focus of my life, I'll look down and like, oh, it's the top of the hour. I spent half of that in a disassociated state,
Wow.
just because it's so easy to disassociate and so easy to step out of in that now. And we're in the past, we're in the present, we're thinking about the show
Or
tonight. We're
yeah,
just,
or you're checked out.
or you
It's this
checked out or I'm checked out.
escapism. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I didn't realize that it was disassociation when I was a kid, but it would happen a lot. I was very like traumatized as a kid, and I remember there were certain times in class that I would daydream, but it was really disassociation, and my eyes would be open, and I would just be so zoned out, and like my teacher would call on me, and I still wouldn't hear them. They'd be like, Sarah, Sarah. And like literally, I remember
Hmm.
one time somebody came up and they were like, Sarah. And I like woke up and everybody, like, I was already awake though, but everybody started laughing. And I like looked around and like, I
Because
was
it
embarrassed. And like, I knew back then it wasn't normal, but I didn't know what that state was. I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know it was a defense mechanism. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
yeah.
when if you are like abused or like, hit, especially as a kid, there's nothing you can do. So you have, as a
Mhm,
protection defense mechanism, you go into that place so that
mhm,
you're not feeling the pain physically, emotionally, mentally. You're checked out. You protect yourself. You go to where your little
mhm,
soul is in that little protected space
mhm,
so that your body can deal with whatever is happening to it.
mhm.
So it's like I understand that now, and looking back on it,
Yeah,
I'm like, it makes me feel sad. Like looking at that inner child, I'm like, that's fucking sad. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. It took me a
So,
long time to be able to have compassion for that because I pushed it down for so long, and I mean, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And then you become a really good wishful thinker, but then again,
and
I
you
mean,
normalize it. It's normal for you. So you're not
mhm,
thinking that it's anything out of the ordinary if it's something you've been doing since a kid. You know what
yeah,
I mean? You're like, this is just normal. Like, but it's not
and
normal.
and really becoming good at that term. I never even, and I masking. I'm
Masking.
brilliant. I mean,
Most girls are that's why it's very hard for them to diagnose autism,
yeah,
ADHD, certain
yeah.
personality disorders, because girls are so good at copying what everyone else is doing
Mhm,
and mimicking to fit in,
mhm,
imitating.
mhm,
So that's why for a very large, most of the 90s and 2000s, boys always were diagnosed with autism more. Also the blood brain barrier thing, they say there's something there, but also because girls mask very, very well, and so they know that something's not right about them, but they don't want to be singled out. They don't want to be picked on.
mhm,
So it's like a
mhm.
play. You're an actor,
Well, and
you're acting.
for me, it was like are you will not tell what's going on in the family, the abuse, the level of it just, and having to put on. I just was
A
taught like
show.
you will
Hmm.
put on a perfect show. You will, like, there won't be any alternative. You will either do it perfectly or life will be unbearable even more than it is. And, my parents used money to control me. And so you start, the, the,
Yeah.
the, the acceptance by the community was more important than any emotional, anything like that. And I
Especially as a kid, because you don't, even your friends, you only see them at school. Like, you want to be accepted by your family because that's where you live. You want it to be
yeah,
peaceful. You don't want to be in strife and struggle and division. So you do what they say, like you
sure.
go
And I
along to
think
get
that I
along.
think that this is starting to come up. I get more and more people as calling me and asking about my services that never would have even thought that they had trauma, and now childhood is coming up. So there is something happening. There is a great awakening in as far as well, how you use the information will be how life if
Yeah, it's starting to permeate the mainstream, which is actually good. Like, this is the shit we want to go mainstream,
yeah.
like.
That's why with the slogan "Make America Healthy Again," I still don't know if I'm going to vote. I haven't come to the conclusion on that yet.
Oh, I can't
But
wait to vote for the orange man.
the Make America, I will say this though, I'm pretty much 90% sure I'm going to get off the bench from 2012 and go for it.
If ever there was a time to,
It
I
is.
feel like
I
it's
agree.
now.
But this Nicole Shanahan has me.
I'm definitely gonna check out her podcast with Ron Paul,
I
especially. I'll start
really
there, and then I might,
I got to be with her. That was when I said I think I might actually vote because I've been so disgusted after the Ron Paul. That's I just am such a fucking diehard Ron Paul. I mean, I had pictures on Ron Paul hottie, don't you? I
yeah.
mean,
It's also just when
all
you
of us
see how
girls.
they did him dirty. It's like, well, I'm not gonna vote for that party that completely fucked him over. You
Well,
know
you
what I
just
mean? Like,
I just saw the world in such a different way that I've been on the bench for so long that this is finally, yeah, I think I'm getting off the bench. And I will say, the interviews that I saw with her are what will actually, um, if she's part of this whole thing,
you're also like not entitled to tell people. Like, that's another thing, is like voting is very private when you're in
yeah,
that booth. And I always say, like, as a joke to people, I'm like, well, if you know people that were all gung-ho on I'm with her, or like gung-ho for Biden last time, and they ain't saying shit this time, you can pretty much
they're
guarantee that they're probably fucking voting for Trump. You know what I mean? And they're just being real quiet about it, because what happens is between you and that ballot box, and it's not anybody's fucking business. It's not your Facebook friend's business. It's not Joe Schmo up the street, your fucking friend group. It's nobody's business. And
hmm
to the extent where I know for a fact some people are talking a mean game and they're still kind of going along with it, but I know when they get in that booth, they're not, they're going to vote for Orange Man. You know what I mean? Secretly. And they'll tell their friends that they voted for Kamala. I'm with her. I'm
with
not.
all the joy. There's so
Yeah,
much
I'm,
joy to be spread
oh,
around.
bring the joy. I can't wait. It's going to be joyous
And of course, I watched a few of those, like interview the man on the street, and they have to interview the dumbest motherfuckers out there
every time.
every
Sometimes
single
I think they
time.
edit it to where they only show the dumb ones. Like, it's like on purpose.
Which is very lowbrow, and I'm not going to admit I do have some laughs at like
Mark Dice, he fucking cracks me up.
I'll never forget the one where he was handing out gold coins or whatever it was, and people
Or like a
weren't
Hershey
fucking
bar,
taking
right?
it. Yeah,
It was like a candy bar or like a real
gold coin.
bullion gold
Yeah,
coin. And he would like stand outside of like one of those places like that take the gold coins, like the cash for gold places. And people would be like, no, like I don't really know what I'm gonna do with that. And it's like, even as a collector's piece, but you don't know that you get like the weight. Like y'all really don't know that. Like, people
yeah,
are so. I remember that too. That shocked me. Not one person. I'm like, I
yeah.
would have taken that gold coin. I would have snatched that up out of his hands so fast. Like,
Right. Mark Dice, I don't hear much about him anymore. Is
he
he
still
still
has
around?
his, yeah, he has his YouTube show. Actually, I'm not sure. I should look. I used to watch his stuff kind of regularly, but I actually haven't seen But then he was doing this man on the street like prank kind of thing where he was like on the beach in California and he has like a fake petition. He's like, I'm petitioning to force everyone to get a COVID vaccine or like something stupid like that. And like all these people were fucking signing it. And then there's this one like really cute surfer dude and he says it and the guy was like, wait, what? And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, man. He's like, ew. He's like, what's your problem? And he like walks away. And then Mark like looks at the thing and he was like, I like him. Like he was a good one. Like, but you'd be surprised at how many people are like, oh, absolutely. Where do I sign for it? You know what I mean? It's just like the authoritarianism, the wanting to force. That's the thing that will still always, the wanting to force people to do something against their will, and the fact that they feel so entitled to force these fucking maggot motherfuckers to take that fucking vaccine, you fucking loser. I'm gonna make you take it. And I'm just like,
you racist.
I don't have that will in me though. I have a fighting will. I have a tenacity. I have a bravery and a courage. I don't have the will to force people to do shit against their will. I don't have it. I don't want it. I never want that. I never want to force people, especially with their body, to do something. You know, like that is insane to me. Like,
well, yeah, and I wouldn't, like, I even tell my, clients and stuff, like, I don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you. I'm going to help you get back and clear some of the weeds from connecting you to that true north. But, or when people ask me to read tarot or do astrology, it's like, yeah, I will do that. But if you should learn it for yourself, because no one can interpret you better than you. Yes, I can read the tarot. Yes, I can do all that, but you could do it for yourself better.
These are self-empowerment tools that you
So they're
should
better
use.
when you learn them and apply them in your life, and I'll be a guide for you. I will help you through it and teach you what I can, but you have to do the work.
I love that
Otherwise,
you said that, like, you are your own authority. You should not be outsourcing it through me or like through you. You know what I mean? Like, I understand going to see a psychic or something like that. Like, that's different. Or like, but like, really, that's what people don't understand is these tools are available for you to access and use readily whenever you want to. And it's like through your own authority. So you don't have to outsource through an expert, an authority, a white lab coat. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there
I
are
would
certain things,
rather,
like, obviously, if I break my fucking arm, I'm not going to use my own, because I don't have any knowledge or authority of that. If I did, but like, you wouldn't do that yourself either. You know what I mean? But it's like, there are certain things, like certain wounds I've had. I fucking got a piece of glass out of my friend's finger that was like swollen so huge. Like, he was refusing to go to the doctor. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. I know I can do this. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'll do it for you. We fucking got boiling water, sterilized, 10 minutes, all this shit, fucking rubbing alcohol, everything. I created a whole little like sterile thing and I went to surgery on his finger. Yeah, I did it myself. And it was like, it's not because I was so confident that I knew, but like, I even like made a little cut. I went in there with a very sharp needle nose. I felt it graze the glass. He cried when I did it. I felt it felt sandy. And I was like, okay, now I know where it is. I'm like, the second time I'm going to go in, I'm like, I'm going to grab it. And I did. And I pulled it out. Smallest little sliver of glass you've ever seen in your whole life. But instantly it healed. You know what I mean? And it was like, he didn't have to go to the doctor. I knew that I could get that out. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm not saying that that was the safest or best thing, but he was literally refusing to go. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. Like, if you really are not going to go, I will help you.
I will do it.
So I will do it. So it's like, we do have power to do certain things, and you don't always need to outsource this. For some things you do, absolutely. I'm not saying if you have fucking cancer or something, or even I hate it when women are like, I can cure this yeast or whatever, or bacterial vaginosis or some shit. And I'm like, oh, like, maybe, I mean, if you tried it and didn't work, like, maybe you should just go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things where it's like, you should probably go to the doctor. Like, that doesn't look good, and whatever you're
but
doing
we're
isn't
capable
working,
of,
so.
especially in the self-healing, when there's
the
so
right
many
tools.
tools out there, and there's just so much that you truly can take responsibility for and do yourself. And I'm responsible for my mental health. I'm responsible, and because I do work with trauma, and that is my area with the horses. I I know that I have to do new neural pathway building. I know that I have to start my day checking in with my inner child, because I'll never leave her, and there are days that I feel like I need to, like, I check in. How are you doing? What do you need today? And just having that dialogue and understanding the nervous system, working with tarot, working with astrology, all these things, I can pretty much go in and identify how I'm feeling. Whereas there was a time when I couldn't have, I wouldn't have been able to tell you what a boundary or a feeling or any of that
Yeah,
was.
you couldn't pinpoint, put your finger on it, like, but
Mhm.
again, this is like you've set these healthy habits for your life and they're clearly working, but it was like an intention. You had to do it. Like you can't just
Absolutely.
say you're going to do it. You know what I mean? Like you literally are doing it and you set up these habits so that they're daily practices, that they come almost second nature. Like you said, you have your
Mhm.
phone to constant or your timer set up to remind you. And it's like, because you already know, and now you're using all these tools that are available to you, and you made a daily habit of it, and you work at it daily, so it's like
I'm committed to my best life, as
to
opposed
healing.
to where another I would have just sabotaged, and I would have internalized and
Brushed it
everything.
under the rug, like, no,
The
it's not.
cool chick, nothing's ever wrong. I'm just, I'm good. And it just, but it wasn't the truth, because in the private relationships, a lot of times emotional regulation, before you know it, like, you don't even recognize that you're out of um, regulation, if you
Yeah.
don't know what emotional regulation is. Which I think that there are a lot of adults, a good majority of adults, that are passing as being in adult bodies, but they are clearly not able to regulate.
They're just
And
living in that constantly. So it, like I said, it just becomes normal. It becomes second nature. You don't even
Mhm,
recognize that like there's something wrong and like this isn't normal, or that there is a better way, or that like you don't have to
mhm,
feel this way all the time. It's just like
mhm,
when you live in it and you ignore it constantly and make excuses for it, or like you just think like this is just the way it is. Like I am the way, like there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? It's like, like I want people to know that, first of all, that's not true. And there are things you
mhm,
can do about it. And you don't have to be this way or live this way or live with
mhm,
this. There are ways to alleviate some of the things, especially like with you, daily practices, setting
mhm,
intentions, setting habits, like following through.
mhm,
If you do miss one, making sure you hit it the next day. I don't know all of your things that you do, but I know that you do have a pretty regimented
mhm,
practice and tools and like schedule and habits that you've set for yourself, and I could see it working in
mhm,
you. Like you just seem so much calmer and relaxed and level headed, and like not wound up. Not I remember there
mhm.
was a time, it was when I gave you COVID, you were just like constantly on the verge of tears, and like you could just tell you were still going through that with the
Mhm,
divorce, and it was just like it was all just so fresh on the surface, and it was all just always there, always at the ready
mhm,
to, you know what I mean? And it's like
mhm.
I can see the difference in you. It's night and day, and I'm actually so happy for you. Like,
Thank you, sweetie.
and I'm so happy that you're sharing this with other people so they can find their way out of it too.
Yeah,
Like, I think that that is
'cause
such a important work and like beautiful work and selfless work to help this reach people, you know?
I do know there's life after trauma. There is absolutely life after trauma. And I well, I'd like to see it a more peaceful planet, and love, and people heal from it.
You're
'Cause I
a
know,
living, breathing example.
well,
Maybe we should end there.
yeah, on that beautiful note, I love you.
I love you too. And thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, we have 4 people
Subscribe,
watching. We actually have
like,
4 people watching right now.
oh, shoot, maybe let's
Right?
go.
Hi, 4 people. Please, oh, like and subscribe.
And share and share.
And I will get this rendered and downloaded. I'll send you the links, and we'll be back for some more shooting the shit next Monday at 8 o'clock. We
Talking
are on
shit.
the
We'll see.
over. What's that?
So we'll see what happens this week. Well,
Yeah,
maybe world changing event, maybe not.
maybe
Maybe it'll be
not. This
chill.
might be kind of a calm before the storm. I know
Yeah,
that
before October surprise.
the astrology is very it's it's a beautiful kind of peaceful week as far as there's
Like
not too much.
balanced.
Yeah, yeah. Especially for if you've been doing since the last eclipse season, really the last 6 months. If you really have gone in and done that excavation and really a lot of purging, a lot of releasing, then you should be feeling pretty good. If you're holding on to, if you're not doing that, I would even use it as an example. If you're holding on to um, the matrix or the war, the war within yourself, you're probably going to have a difficult time. It's probably not going to feel the same way as if you've gone in and kind of been
Done the
working
work.
the shadow side, because you just see things differently. When the subconscious isn't driving the car and you're in your true north, it's more of a destined life than be willy-nilly out to the fates. Where you're
Right.
just kind of bumping into stuff. You're on a divine mission. You just receive and you just kind of flow differently.
Yeah, you go with the flow, you're bobbing and weaving, and
You're listening to those signs and symbols, and
so float like a
you know that's how
butterfly,
you
sting
know.
like a bee.
Yeah, there you go. All
Well, all
right.
right,
Well,
guys. Thanks for
have a
tuning in.
wonderful what day is it? Monday. Have a wonderful week.
Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day,
Oh, happy
everybody.
Labor Day.
Yeah,
All the
hope everybody
different
got to
things.
chill.
Yeah, and give Volty a kiss.
I will. He needs to go to the bathroom. Keeps tap dancing around here.
Yeah, I think Petunia's too. All right, everybody, until next week.
Mwah. Good night, guys.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.